Good Friday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top news stories, let's take a quick look outside that weather window. And it was a day today that we thought would clear up a little bit sooner than it did this afternoon. Clouds just kind of lingered around north central Washington today. We did see bits of sunshine mainly later in the day, but it kept our temperatures down just a little bit, but still pretty darn nice out there today. Beautiful shot looking down at the Wenatchee Valley from our Sky-Fi tower camera. That's up on Wenatchee Heights, of course, the cross camera, and pretty much a typical spring day with some clouds, some sun, and temperatures about where they should be for this time of year. And as we look at our 7-day forecast, going to be a wet one this weekend, especially tomorrow. We'll see a good chance of rain, especially between about 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. tomorrow, then some clearing and 66. Rain showers developing Sunday night too, and that could linger into Monday. But I'll tell you what, next week, look at those temperatures. Next Wednesday, high temperature of 75. And we'll talk much more weather coming up a little bit later on. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. Washington Governor Jay Inslee announced today he'll be easing limits on some construction projects. We sat down with the executive director of the Chelan Douglas Health District to talk all things COVID-19. And one of Wenatchee's longest running restaurants, the Cottage Inn, closed its doors permanently at midnight last night. But first we begin tonight. Okanagan County has reported its first COVID-19 death, a 44-year-old woman who died on April 18th. County Coroner Dave Rodriguez said the woman did not have any underlying health conditions, but had been sick at her home for several days. Rodriguez said she was not tested for the virus until after her death. Health officials are only saying that she died at her residence in the central area of the county. Okanagan County Public Health and the Colville tribes are working together to investigate the contacts of all people who have tested positive for the virus in the county. The Colville Indian Reservation accounts for 9 of the county's 19 positive tests, with 5 more cases in the Methow Valley. Washington Governor Jay Inslee announced today he'll be easing limits on some construction projects under his Stay Home, Stay Safe order. Appearing at a press conference with building industry representatives, the governor said he'd be signing an order today allowing what he called low-risk projects with strict social distancing requirements to move forward. He said whether it will mean changes are coming for restrictions on the healthcare industry, businesses, and recreationists has not yet been determined.
So for the other folks that are chomping at the bit to get back to work, and I know we all are, what we're doing and what I hope to replicate is what we've done in the construction industry. While we're waiting for that time where we can turn that dial to prepare for that, to build the protocols that are necessary to go back safely when we can. But we're going to make that decision based on data, and we've got all kinds of data from infection rates to hospitalization rates to percentage to positives. And we'll share that probably, in fact, we'll have one day when we talk about that tomorrow in depth.
When health officials tested for coronavirus last weekend at a Stemilt worker housing site in East Wenatchee, they got a shock. 36 out of 71 workers there were tested positive without obvious symptoms. Barry Kling, chief administrator for the Chelan Douglas Health District, told NCWLIFE those findings are changing local strategy for detecting and containing the pandemic virus.
There is testing going on at a couple of additional sites because we want to get a little bit of perspective on whether this was just an outlier or is fairly representative of what's happening in other housing. I doubt seriously that it's an extreme outlier. I have a feeling we're going to find a significant number of asymptomatic positive tests there too. So if that's the case, we'll know that in a couple days. We're going to be looking at doing broader testing in housing sites like that. Now, there's some factors that will affect the extent to which we can do that. The main one of which is the availability of testing. Right now, that seems to be opening up, and we may well be able to do what's necessary to test many of the, if not all, of the farm workers coming in in the H2A program, for example. Within a few days, we'll know whether we're really going to want to pull the trigger, and that's a decision we're going to make with agriculture leaders and representatives of farm workers. The real effect of this experience, though, has been to make us think differently about the advice to make decisions on the basis of symptom screening. Because if there are this many asymptomatic positive cases, screening for symptoms doesn't really tell you, who needs to be tested and who needs to stay home from work and that sort of thing. So that's really the big revelation behind this. And that will have implications for testing, not just for farm workers, but for a lot of the things that we're doing right now. And it highlights the need for much, much greater testing capacity than we have. We have relatively small numbers because we're a relatively small population, and small numbers bounce around a lot more than larger numbers from larger populations. So it's a little harder to look at the curve and say, this is where we are. My take is we're probably about 3 weeks behind the west side in terms of when we started. There's no reason to think we'd be different from every other community in the overall pattern of the epidemic. So I expect us to peak a week or 2 or 3 after Puget Sound. They may be peaking now in Puget Sound area, and so I would think we're probably going to peak soon if we haven't already. But I'm trying to keep reminding people that, when you're on the peak, you're only halfway home. You got to go all the way back down to camp. And sometimes that's the hardest part of the trip because you're tired from the climb.
In other news, one of Wenatchee's longest-running restaurants, the Cottage Inn, closed its doors permanently at midnight last night. Located on Wenatchee's north side, the Cottage Inn was the second oldest restaurant in the area. Douglas County Commissioner Dan Sutton and his wife have leased the business for the past 16 years. Sutton told NCWLIFE News this morning that COVID-19 pandemic played only a small part in the decision to close. Sutton said, quote, on top of skyrocketing state taxes and a 46% increase in the minimum wage over a 4-year span, the restaurant was struggling, unquote. Sutton also acknowledged that leaving behind co-workers and staff will be very difficult because he and his wife watched employees' children grow up and have families of their own. But Sutton says he can now focus and dedicate more time to his job as Douglas County Commissioner to navigate the county through this pandemic and continue the economic gains that have been made over the past few years. Sutton says he's not sure what the future will hold for the long-standing Northside restaurant. Well, coming up next, Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett says his new chief of patrol comes from within the ranks. After consulting with the Health District, the Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market will open as scheduled on May 9th at Pybus Public Market. Woodcutting permits for the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest will go on sale on Monday, but as with the case with most things these days, COVID-19 has made things very different. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
Aging and Adult Care offers many in-home care options and services for seniors and family caregivers. But did you know they also offer free in-home delivered meals? Aging and Adult Care has expanded its program for home-delivered meals to help elderly and vulnerable adults at this challenging time. If you are in need of prepared meals or know someone who could benefit, call Aging and Adult Care for more information about free home-delivered meals. Call 509-886-0700.
You want to help others. You need a solid career. You can have both with help from Charter College. Our 10-month medical assistant program prepares you to work in healthcare settings like physician offices, rehab centers, and clinics. You'll learn to take vitals, assist with exams, administer injections, and maintain records. When you're ready to launch a rewarding healthcare career, stop by our campus at 595 Grant Road across from Safeway or visit chartercollege.edu.
Owner Andrew Vickery brings years of experience to help you transition your backyard into a place where memories are made, family time is looked forward to, and friends are always welcome. Blue Lagoon Pool & Spa offers many different styles and sizes of artesian spas, both new and used, as well as residential and commercial pool and spa services, regular maintenance and repairs, and all the chemicals required to keep your pool and spa crystal clear. Stop on by Blue Lagoon Pool & Spa today.
Welcome back. In another news, Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett says his new chief of patrol comes from within the ranks. Sergeant Adam Musgrove takes the reins July 1st, supervising patrol operations around the county. He's been with the force since 2012 and is now a night shift patrol sergeant. He was a Cedro-Woolley police officer until joining the Chelan County Department. He replaces Chief of Patrol Rick Johnson, who becomes East Wenatchee's new Chief of Police, effective on June 1st. Well, after consulting with the Health District, the Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market will open as scheduled May 9th at Pybus Public Market. Pybus Executive Director Leslie Freitag said the market will have 15 to 20 vendors, and the number of customers allowed at one time will be limited. In addition, there will be hand washing stations and extra spacing between vendors. The market will be open from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Freitag said. They're looking for volunteers to help regulate the number of people in the vendor area and to direct and inform visitors. Anyone interested in volunteering can give them a call at 663-8712. Well, woodcutting permits for the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest will go on sale Monday, but as is the case with most things these days, COVID-19 has made things different. The permits will be sold by phone instead of in person, and they won't go into effect until May 1st. And even then, the Forest Service would like people to wait, if possible, before cutting their wood to relieve strain on rural communities. To buy a woodcutting permit, call your local Ranger District office. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's feature story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Stay with us.
The Sangster Motors showroom in Wenatchee continues to be closed temporarily. But did you know that if you're involved in an accident, it's still possible to buy a new vehicle? If you find yourself in that situation, reach out to Sangster Motors and they'll have someone available to help. The service department at Sangster Motors remains open in the event you need a repair. By using the latest guidelines, they can keep you and their staff safe. Pickup and drop off is easy. Call 662-6134.
We appreciate all your business. We appreciate all your support. Everybody stay healthy and God bless you.
Coming home should never be a chore. Let Merry Maids of Wenatchee customize all your cleaning needs. Weekly, bi-weekly, special occasion. Do you have a vacation home that needs cleaning? We clean them too. Locally owned and operated, let Merry Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Merry Maids has special offers to fit your budget. Request your free cleaning estimate today. 509-663-1710.
AC Checker has new owners who put customer service first. When you have to get there on time, call fast, friendly, reliable AC Checker, 663-TAXI. AC Checker has the industry's only on-time or it's free guarantee. Conditions apply. Call AC Checker, 663-TAXI to schedule your cab or schedule online at acchecker.com. Call American Classic Taxi, 663-TAXI. That's 663-8294.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. The Washington State Department of Natural Resources says the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way they'll be training for and fighting wildfires this year. The DNR has already seen more than 200 wildfires, most involving debris fires that have gotten out of control. In tonight's feature story, Allison Morrow with DNR says fire crews are adapting to new realities.
Hi, I'm Allison Morrow with your DNR report. Precautions taken to stop the spread of COVID-19 are also affecting work to both prevent and fight wildfire. For instance, there are 4 crew members per engine whose interaction with other engines is now limited and tracked.
We want to protect our communities from wildland fires, but we want to further that protection by keeping social distancing in place so we can protect our communities better.
The training for those crews also looks different as meetings are no longer happening in central locations.
When we bring seasonals on, this year is going to be tremendously different. We used to have crew meetings every Wednesday, and this year it sounds like the engines aren't going to be able to come up to Deer Park for those crew meetings. And we're going to be adapting, bringing overhead to those engines.
Crews are already dealing with wildfire, especially in the Northeast region where more than 100 wildfires have already ignited.
Mostly due to debris burning. It's escaping, it's getting away from them.
It has been pretty breezy throughout the whole spring so far. and that's really drying out those light and flashy fuels. And so it doesn't take a lot, especially if you have a debris pile that's putting off quite a bit of heat. It doesn't take a lot of wind for it to get out.
And we're just out there, we're regulating burning standards, we're providing them education so that they can do this more safely at a more convenient time.
Forest health work will continue to thin underbrush and prune trees to keep fires from spreading. That work is considered essential amid the COVID pandemic in order to protect homes and forest land.
Those pieces of land would be less prepared and less safe in the event of a wildfire. The fire would burn more intensely, and it would be a lot more intensive to put out.
Local fire districts, federal partners, all of them, we're already spread thin, and finding those resources, especially this time of year, is getting difficult, and having that extra support with us involved is very beneficial.
Washington State has already seen almost 200 wildfires so far this year.
Time now for a check of your north central Washington weather forecast. And as we always do, let's first take a look outside our weather window at the beautiful Wenatchee Valley from our Wenatchee Heights cross camera, and that's our Sky-Fi Tower camera provided by Localtel. We appreciate that. A little bit of blue sky at times out there this afternoon, but mostly mid and even some low-level clouds out there. You can see that just above the Cascades. Kept our temperature down somewhat today, unofficially in the Wenatchee area. We topped off at 66 degrees. Thought we would be a little bit closer to 70, just didn't get there unofficially. 64 is our normal. 45 was our overnight low this morning, so a nice mild start today. 42 is normal. Look at that record high. April 24th, 93 degrees. That was set back in 1977. Record low, 28, and that was in 1985. Our precipitation still at 1.70, and that is about an inch and a tenth below where we should be for this time of year as far as moisture goes, but there is more in the forecast. We'll talk about that in a second. Sunrise this morning before 6 o'clock now at 5:55. Sunset at 8:04. Let's take a look at how our weekend's going to shape up in our Saturday forecast. We've talked about it all week, and it's going to be a wet one for Saturday. Temperatures will reflect that somewhat, although a lot like today. 67 in Moses Lake and Ephrata, Quincy as well. Wenatchee will see 66, 65 for you folks in Kashmir, and middle 60s all the way up the Highway 97 corridor into Okanagan County and Omak. But it's going to be a wet one, as I mentioned. We'll show you that in a second. But tonight, we can expect increasing clouds, and it's all because of this area of low pressure right here. And here's our associated frontal boundary that will continue to move eastward as we get through the night tonight. We do expect mild conditions, though, tonight with low temperatures even near 50 degrees. With that storm, look at the wind for Saturday. Out of the west, northwest rather, 15 to 25 miles an hour. And we are going to see some strong winds throughout the Cascades, a 70% chance of rain. I really believe this will be between about 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., then clearing after that. So by Saturday night, we could see some clear skies, but increasing clouds then for Sunday. We'll see a 40% chance of rain shower activity as another area of low pressure slides down the British Columbia coastline. This system, though, really won't affect us until late on Sunday. And then by Monday, we could see a morning rain shower giving way to partly cloudy skies in the afternoon Monday. And I'll tell you what, high pressure building in a big way as we get into Tuesday. We're expecting mostly sunny skies. Look at the entire western U.S. High pressure here. That's bringing all that warm air up into Washington State. We're talking temperatures lower to mid 70s. And as we get into Wednesday, partly cloudy and even clear throughout most of the western U.S. We are talking temperatures on Wednesday near 80 degrees in the Tri-Cities. I think they're going to make 80 degrees because we will be middle to upper 70s here in north central Washington for Wednesday. Just a slight cool down for Thursday, but not much. Partly cloudy skies. We'll see temperatures in the low to mid 70s with winds on the light side only about 5 to 10 miles an hour. And I'll tell you what, it looks nice heading right into our next weekend. Let's take a look at your Patriot Plumbing, Heating and Cooling 7-day forecast. 47 tonight, rainy tomorrow and 66. Don't forget windy as well on Saturday. Rain showers developing late on Sunday and 67. But look at the warm up as we get into the first and middle part of next week. 72 Tuesday, 75 on Wednesday, and 73 your high temperature on Thursday. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy finally Friday to you. Staying home and staying healthy. Eric Granstrom on the NCWLIFE channel. Well, the NFL draft last night, first round, went pretty much to script until you got to the Seahawks. More on that coming up. LSU's Joe Burrow went number 1 overall to Cincinnati. Ohio State's Chris Young went second to Washington, as expected. Alabama's quarterback Tua Tagovailoa went number 5 to Miami. And Justin Herbert out of Oregon was selected by the LA Chargers at number 6. The Seahawks went off script by keeping and using its 27th overall pick in the first round to take an inside linebacker, Jordyn Brooks out of Texas Tech. Seattle had traded away its first-round pick in the 7 of the last 8 drafts, so fans were shocked to see the Hawks actually make a selection in the first round, although general manager John Schneider said they tried to make a trade.
Actually had a trade set up a little bit to go back a little bit. I can't tell you where, but fell through at the very last minute, and bang, and he was still there, and so it worked out great. Really excited to add a real tough, great person. You know, Jordan's the youngest at 7. He's got a twin sister. He's been through a lot. He's overcome a lot. He's got a ton of grit. He's our kind of guy. Can fly 233 pounds and ran 4.46, and you know, just a great kid. He had a great formal interview at the combine, and he's just a real passionate kid. Football is the deal for this guy.
Coach Pete Carroll says the thing that put Brooks over the top in their minds to select him was how he came across in the interview at the combine.
This guy blew us away there. He was awesome, confident, clear, had a plan. Knew how to express to us what was important to him. He was clear about all of that. He just was on point. So I think, you know, his confidence, because he performed young and sophomore and then junior and all the way throughout, and recognized as a leader throughout all of that time, that's just bolsters the heck out of a kid. And he handled it really well. And so it just came across. He's looking you in the eye. He's talking straight to you. He's telling you where he's coming from. He was working it, you know, to come and put his best foot forward in the meeting with us, and he kicked ass, you know. So it's really well done.
Jordan says he was a little surprised that the Seahawks chose him because he hadn't talked to anybody from the team since the combine. But he says he's happy to bring his style of play to Seattle.
Yeah, you know, I see myself a lot, you know, in the style of play for Bobby Wagner, you know, kind of a similar build. But, you know, what I think I bring to the table is just aggressiveness, passion, and just toughness, discipline. You know, it's something I pride myself on, some of my core values, you know, that I take with me, you know, as I enter. But I think, you know, the fans and the organization, they just get a heck of a football player. You know, I'm a linebacker, but I see myself as a football player that can do anything, you know. Just with my God-given ability, you know, that I've been blessed with, I feel like I can do anything and add a lot of value to the team.
Seattle will have 3 more picks today in the 2nd and 3rd rounds of the draft. The Seahawks will select twice in the 2nd round with the 59th and 64th pick, and then in the 3rd with the 101st pick. That coverage right now on ABC and ESPN. Well, this weekend would have been the Leonard Evans 150 race at Wenatchee Valley Super Oval had it not been for the pandemic shutting things down. I was able to visit with WVSO General Manager Jeremy Anders. He says that, wow, this could have been a great season.
Unfortunately, we were on track to have probably one of the best seasons we've ever had. It was going to be our 50th year of racing, and we were on track to probably have our biggest season opener we've had in a long time. And that's one of the things that hurt the most about this is, health and safety of everybody is really important like that. But, after we get past that point, knowing what our year could have been and start out with, that's probably what hurts the most, knowing that we were on track for such a great year at the track. But now it's just uncertain. We got like 6 different plans in place. It's called matters on which date we can open up on for that plan to go in effect.
Other sports have suggested coming back and playing games and doing contests with no fans. Jeremy says at WVSO that's really not an option.
To be honest, I don't think race without fans is possible for us. I think economically it's just with the cost of payouts, insurance, and stuff like that, it's just not feasible for us to do. But definitely test and tune sessions. We've been talking about that for a long time. It used to be Wednesday night test and tune sessions. So we've looked at revisiting the test and tune sessions on a Wednesday night or a Friday night here and there. Not doing it on Saturdays. It'd be no point of taking up the gun club area for that time there, but definitely a Wednesday and Friday test sessions are what we're looking at. And maybe 2 or 3 of those scheduled before we open the season. That's kind of our hope goal. Because I think the way that it's going to come down is going to have limited numbers and groups for so long. So if we can get up to that, 100-person target area, we can definitely, probably bring in 20 or 30 cars for a test session, limited pit crews and stuff like that.
We'll have more of my interview with Jeremy Anders coming up Monday on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, so be sure and tune in for that. Here's our schedule of sports coming up for the weekend. Begins tonight with a great game of our past, Eastmont Wenatchee boys soccer from March of 2017. Sebastian Moraga and Matt Wiesen have the play-by-play beginning at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow at 2, it's Eastmont Wenatchee baseball from May of 2017. I had the call. That's from Recreation Park. Then at 7, Wenatchee Valley Thunder facing Monroe from May of 2017. And the state lacrosse playoffs, I'll be joined by Rod Higley with the play-by-play on that. Then coming up Sunday, we have Eastmont Wenatchee softball from a year ago at Walla Walla Point Park. Joel Norman with a call at 2. Then at 7, our old buddy Arch Ecker brings us Wenatchee Wild Hockey against Coquitlam. This from February at the Town Toyota Center. Have a safe and sane weekend. I'm Eric Granstrom. That's Sports News. Grant, back to you.
Thank you, Eric, and have a great weekend. Finally tonight, if you grew up wanting a fire truck of your very own, this may be your chance. Chelan Fire and Rescue is auctioning off its 3 response vehicles, a 1992 Seagrave engine, a 2000 IHC rescue truck, and a water tender that's about 30 years old. The department is accepting bids until May 20th with a minimum offer of $5,000 on the engine and tender, but at least $70,000 on the rescue vehicle. Get more information from Chelan Fire and Rescue's website at chelan7.com. Remember, serious offers only. Now let's check in with Dan Kuntz for a look at what's coming up Monday morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
Where, oh, where are you tonight? Why did you leave me here all alone? I searched the world over and I thought I found true love. You met another and you was gone. All right, let's do a real one. You ready? Thank you very much, Grant. I hope everybody has a safe weekend. Join me Monday, our guest for the conversation portion of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. The general manager of the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval, Jeremy Anders, had a chance to sit down and Zoom with our very own Eric Granstrom. Of course, Saturday night it was supposed to be the Leonard Evans 150. Like everything else, racing at the WVSO has at least been postponed. We'll check in with Jeremy on Monday, plus your weather forecast and everything you need to know to start your work week. We'll see you Monday. Have a good one. Grant, back to you.
Thank you, Dan. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on our Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us and have a great weekend.